Hi there, this is Justin Krane, certified financial planner professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Money You Got This. This is Justin Krane. This show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional. I offer investment management services and act as a fractional CFO to dentists and business executives. I'm the author of the book, Money You Got This. It's time to merge your money with your life. You guys ready? All right, let's do this. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. So today's guest is Dr. Grace Yum. She is a pediatric dentist. She's been on the Today Show. She's written or been featured in Parents Magazine. She's invented baby teeth stuff. We're going to figure out what that is. She's the author of the book, Mommy, Dentists, and Business. She's also pretty active in philanthropy. Her name has been brought up to me 2 different times within like 36 hours. So I'm like, okay, I got to get you on. So Dr. Grace Yum, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Justin, for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Cool. So let's just start off by saying, how do you do all of this? Like, how do you be a dentist, get on media, write books? You've got kids yourself, right?
I do.
Married?
Married, yes.
Like, how do you keep it all together? What's going on here? How are you doing this?
You know, honestly, when I listen to all of it, it sounds really overwhelming. Like when you just said all of it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did do that. But I think it's my personality, and I have a really good team. I have a lot of help, and I delegate like crazy. And if I set my mind to something and I want to do it, it just gets done. I just go for it. And I'm not an over analyzer. Like I don't sit and over analyze things. I just kind of say, well, I want to do this. So I'm going to do it, and I'll figure out how, and then just get it done. So that's just how I work. I work fast. I work quickly, but not like haste makes waste fast. Yeah. But I have to say that having the right support and the right team is essential to juggling it all and spinning 10 plates in the air.
Yeah. So let's talk about support, because no matter what level of business you're in, whether it's, 4 employees or just 1 associate or 1 assistant or whatever, there's always that need to try to grow. And then people start thinking, well, I can just do it myself, or I'm kind of complacent, and they don't really trust in other people. So when you got out of dental school, how did you kind of run with that? Were you just an associate and you like worked in a practice, and then did you start your own, and how did you build your team around that?
So backing it up, I have been in the dental field since I was 18. So when I was at college and university, my Saturday part-time job was a dental assistant. And I got into it because my family dentist, his older daughter, was an orthodontist, and she was an associate. Mm-hmm. And she needed help at the practice she was working at. So I was her dental assistant. And so then I started meeting all these other doctors and working in different dental offices, and learn from the ground up. And I am a really acute learner. I mean, I soaked everything up like a sponge. I was learning from the other dental assistants. I was learning from the doctors. I just tried to learn as much as I could. But even if that meant sweeping the floor, taking out the garbage, pouring up models, sterilizing the instruments. Yeah. I mean, I literally learned everything in the dental office, like every front desk, you name it, I learned it.
Yeah.
And right. I never said no. And I always had the attitude of, I'm not above that. I'm lucky to be here.
That's cool.
And so it's just the whole attitude of like, I'm going to, wherever the doctor said, I need you is where I went. I never said, well, that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think, put me in a position that when I did go to dental school, I was like completely above and beyond what all the other dental students were there for. Some people had no idea. They've never stepped foot in a dental office and shadowed maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
And dentistry, I think, is very much a trade. It's yes, you are a doctor and you have to go to school for it, but it's a very hands-on profession. Like it is a trade. It is like, the more you do it, the better you are at it. It's not just diagnosing and thinking about your treatment plan. It's actually doing it and performing it. It's a performance part of your skill. It's an art. And so, I often think that the more practice you put into it, the better you get at it. But as a dentist, when I graduated and then I was the dentist and I was the associate, I was more compassionate towards dental assistants because I'm like, I did that job. Yeah. I know it's backbreaking work. I know it's hard work. So I learned a lot through the years of working and getting experience, which I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so then when it was my turn to be the doctor and my turn to have my own practice, I was really comfortable doing that.
So when you left school, did you just become an associate in another practice or did you buy into one or what'd you do?
So I went into pediatric residency. So after school, I did another 2 years of training at a hospital in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I was able to moonlight your second year. So I did that. And then when I, was an associate for a practice, it was a fee-for-service practice in a very affluent neighborhood. So it was never insurance based. Mm-hmm. So I was already just jumped right into that. Yeah. I was already pulled into that. And after I graduated, I picked up 2 other jobs and I had 3 part-time jobs. And if the doctors, if they said work 6 days a week, I worked 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. And they said work Saturdays, I worked Saturdays. So the only day I didn't work was Sunday, and that was to go to church. And so honestly, I put my time in, I did the hard work, I rolled up my sleeves, I, was hungry. And of course, like all the other, students that graduate, you want to pay off your loans and you want to make money. But more than that, working in 3 different offices that were totally different.
That's a lot
of different demographics. One is like a rich neighborhood, one's blue collar, one's middle class. You just learn how to work with so many different people and so many different children. And so that to me was really valuable, and learning the communication skills that you need to communicate with your patients and how to sell treatment. I mean, at the end of the day, as dentists, we are selling confidence. We are selling trust. Mm-hmm. Yes, your work needs to back you up, but they're not going to go for it. They're not going to make an appointment with you if they don't think you're trustworthy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So how do you build that trust?
I think it's a lot of rapport, building rapport, and honestly, just being really honest. Like if there's something that you don't know, you say, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or if the work looks a little too daunting, you're like, this might be over my head, but if you want me to try it, I'll try it, but it might not go well, mm-hmm. But I think if you're straightforward from the beginning and setting expectations with your patient and just telling them where you're coming from, rather than trying to be like, I'm a know-it-all, I'm a show-off, I went to Northwestern, I got straight A's. Yeah. That's not going to bode well.
So when you were an associate at these 3 different practices, when you were making that money, did you know that you wanted to save it for, let's say, a house or save it to start your own practice? Like as you were doing this, you had to be doing okay. Obviously, maybe you have student loans or whatever, but what was your goal as you were working those 3 jobs?
My goal was to, obviously be financially stable for myself. I was single the entire time. I wanted to be able to live on my own. I didn't want to live with my parents. I needed to be fiscally responsible and be able to pay my rent and pay, there were days, even in residency. I mean, there were days I had $13 to my name.
Yeah.
And like, I would be like going out with my girlfriends and be like, okay, you get me, you buy me a drink this time, I'll buy you next time. But you work around that. And as a doctor, yeah, money was important and I wanted to make a certain amount to survive. But at the same time, I wasn't thinking retirement. I wasn't thinking Roth. It was a little bit later that when Susie Orman's show came out that I started watching that. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to be reading these books. Yeah. But it was like, it was somewhere to start. And like, lo and behold, I'd be sitting there at night watching her show being like, can I afford those Christian Louboutin shoes? Or no? Yeah.
It's funny you bring up Susie Orman. Like, a lot of people love her. A lot of people don't. My view is with spending and saving, like, you got to do both. Like, you got to be able to be okay with spending $7 for a latte, or maybe buying a pair of shoes for $500 or $2,000, whatever the number is. But as long as you know that you have a savings plan for your future and that there's some money that's dedicated, hopefully automated, for your future, it'll give you that sense of balance where, like, you know what, okay, I got this taken care of. I'm going to do this over here, go out for drinks with my friends or something like that.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you about starting your practice, because it's such an important thing for any business owner when they start their own business. How was that for you? What were some of the challenges that you had? And then we'll move into the other things that you've built along the way.
So I was trying to buy in as a partner. One of the senior doctors that I worked for kind of dangled the carrot, was like, oh yeah, you'll be partner, you'll, blah, blah, blah. And 4 years went by and I was like, I'm ready. It didn't work out, the parameters of what he wanted. So then I was like, I love you. I learned so much from you, but it's time for me to move on. And there was no opportunity for me to buy a practice. Pediatric dentistry, at the time I was wanting a practice, there was nobody selling. So the only option I had was to start from scratch. So I had gotten married, and I was married in 2008. And then in 2009, I started from scratch. And my husband, he is a recovering attorney, and he was in a different business venture, and he was starting from scratch. So we were both just married and both starting from scratch.
Cool.
And so I felt like we could do it. And I'm like, we have no risks right now. We don't have children. It's just us. We were renting. Let's just go for it and start building. And I did a little bit of research, but when in 2008, 2009, we didn't have these Facebook groups. The resources weren't readily available to me. I mean, I would have to ask people who had already done offices. Like, I'd have to go to somebody's office and be like, how did you start this? Who did you use? Introduce me to your banker, your lawyer, you're this, you're that, you're that. And I found out, lo and behold, when you build your team to start a scratch practice, everyone knows everything but you. Yeah. Like, everyone knows how much money you got from the bank. Everyone knows how much your bill that's going to be. Everyone, like the sales equipment guy's trying to sell you all this equipment that he knows that you don't need right away. And so for me, I learned the art of negotiation from my mother. My mom is like the cutest, like, Korean lady that can negotiate the car dealer. Like, she can go to a car dealer and get it for almost nothing.
I need your mom.
Yeah, no, she's like amazing. Like, she can have a smile on her face and say F you, and like sweet as can be. And people are like, okay, sure. Okay. Like, they just give in. It's like the most ridiculous thing. So I grew up with a business acumen of having an art of negotiation, understanding how to not to get screwed. So I mean, I like built it, and we were up and running in 8 weeks. I had signs on my window, like, coming soon, booking appointments, call me now. first 100 patients, exams are free. I had a black appointment book in my cell phone, and people would call me, and I'm on the train. I'm booking appointments on the train. I'd be at a restaurant eating lunch, and people call me during lunch. I'm like, excuse me, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm making an appointment. I was called hustler.
How did you build your practice when no one knew you? Like, or did you bring your patients from the other practices over? Like, how did you build up your practice?
So because I was an associate for 4 years in the Chicagoland area, and back then, again, you weren't like putting Facebook as your business out there back then. People just Googled, and of course with my contracts, I wasn't allowed to solicit anybody. So when I opened up shop, I did direct mailers. I made sure I had like my Google, pay-per-click stuff going on, and people just found me.
Were you profitable like the first year that you started on your own, or did it take you like a few years to build up?
So because I had already established my reputation for that 4 years, I was profitable from day one.
That's great.
So my first year I did 700,000, and then the second year, $1 million.
That's amazing. Good for you. So, oftentimes in business, we get complacent and just settled and just okay with whatever it is that we're doing. But you've done like at least 3 things that are above and beyond just, pediatric dentistry. Why did you do those other things? And what I'm going with is like orthodontics, writing a book, doing some media. Why did you decide to do those things? Of course they're not bad, but I want people to understand what you went through as a business owner, already successful in just doing your core business, why you decided to do these other things. Like what led you to that? What was the reason behind that?
So going off of like media, like doing TV and writing articles, I was a communications major.
Oh, there you go.
I wanted to be in broadcast journalism.
Yeah.
And I understood that having media presence and being in articles builds your credibility. So it kind of brings like a little bit more status.
Okay. So I love that. Did you use your art of negotiation to get all of that media placement, or did you go the traditional PR route, or did you do both?
No, I did it myself. I never paid a single cent to a PR company.
It's amazing.
So I reached out to Parenting Magazine. I reached out to, at the time, NBC affiliate, to the news station.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, I'm going to say this, it's not easy. You have to cast a wide net, and then you'll catch one thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I went to all the TV stations. I went to all these different magazines, and then like I would catch one thing.
Yeah.
And if they gave me the opportunity, I had to make sure I nailed it.
Yeah.
In order to like get invited back or whatever. So once I got one, it was much easier to get the others.
Yeah.
And then if you post it on your website, so like Nancy Grace called me, the show, the producer, she called my office and she's like, hey, like, I would love to have you on Nancy's show. And I asked her, I'm like, how did you even find me? You know, she's like, I Googled pediatric dentist and I saw your website, saw you did media, and was like, okay, I'm calling her. Yeah, done.
Yeah, that I've done some stuff for MSNBC, and it was a great thing, and it's been a good building point for me. I want to go back to okay, so you decided to do media because it built your credibility. At what point did you decide to get into orthodontics? Was it like right away, or did you kind of like just kind of grow into that?
So again, I'm not an orthodontist. I'm a pediatric dentist, but I had done all my training before dental school was orthodontics, like 4 years. And then even in dental school for 4 years, I was the orthodontic dental assistant for the chairman's faculty practice for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I was then assisting all the orthodontic residents.
Got it.
So at that, when I left, I was like, you know what? I'm bored of orthodontics. I'm going to go study pediatric dentistry because you can incorporate orthodontics into pediatric dentistry. So that's what I did. I have 2 orthodontists that work in my office.
Mm-hmm.
So they do, they do all the orthodontics. And then when so for me, I'm very familiar, so it's like if the orthodontist isn't in or not available and a kid like popped the bracket off or has something broken, I can fix it.
Yeah. So, but did you do orthodontics right away when you opened your practice, or did you evolve into that?
No, I did it right away because as an associate where I worked, there was a lot of orthodontics and I was doing it there. So I had already incorporated it.
One of the best things to do as a business owner is to diversify your revenue stream from multiple different sources, and that either smoothens out cash flow or just builds sales. So how has offering that, I see it, like, I'm not in dentistry, but I have a lot of clients that are in dentistry, and there's this like 800-pound gorilla in the room where like the orthodontists are upset that dentists is starting to do it, and dentists are like, who cares? I'm going to do it. And I'm just curious what your view is of having those 2 sources of revenue, and then that issue of, specialists versus general and all that stuff.
I think I read somewhere that 70% of general dentists practice orthodontics.
Yeah.
Mostly because of Invisalign.
Yeah.
And as dentists, we're allowed to do everything. You just can't advertise.
Yeah.
But you have to perform at the standard of care.
Sure.
So my belief is if you've got the training and you know how to do it and you practice to the standard of care and you know when to refer out, then I don't see why not. I mean, I pull teeth, but I don't call myself an oral surgeon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's ridiculous for doctors to be like, well, you're not a special, like, yeah, I get it. There's some things you shouldn't do without really, really, really good training, like certain implants and don't get above your head. I get that.
Yeah.
But if there's a certain level of, okay, like for me, I have 2 orthodontists in my practice that work with me. Like there are cases that they're supervising me or, we're working hand in hand. I think it's okay. And I think there's more business to go around. There are plenty of patients to go around. So I think that mindset, isn't. I don't know. I don't want to get people pissed off.
Yeah, no, nor do I. But I'm on the outside and I see this issue, and I'm like, you know what? If I agree with you. Like, if you think you can do it, and it's within your normal standard of care, and you have 2 other orthodontists in your office, all good. One question about this, like, we haven't talked a lot about tracking, and I'm a big believer in tracking. For business owners, do you track, like, if you look at your do you look at your P&L a lot, or are you like, okay.
Well, I do it like every 3 months.
Okay. Do you look at, do you break down your sales between pediatric dentistry and orthodontics? Are you able to discern where you are in sales in each of them?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's a big money booster.
Yeah.
To have ortho. Yeah.
That's awesome. And now let's go into this whole thing about you inventing baby teeth cleaners for kids. Did you just like wake up one day and be like, this is not around, I need to figure out a way how to make it? Or were you thinking about this for like years and never got around to it? Or did you just like come up with an idea and you just ran with it?
No, I think like most good ideas or inventions, there's another one that improves upon it. So I, at my office, was giving out there's these wipes. They're called baby teeth cleaners or not. No, those are my baby teeth cleaners. There's baby wipes that you can rub on the teeth for toddlers or infants that are too young to brush their teeth. So after a bottle of milk, except that the parents would say, it's really inconvenient because my fingers are dirty, then I have to go wash my hands, and then I have to there's too many steps.
Yeah.
So what I did was I had to figure out, my husband and I actually worked on this together. We figured out, we contacted a chemist who's in Wisconsin, and this chemist, she had done like Victoria's Secret line, body lotions and scents and all this and Bath and Body Works. And so I sent her I sent her the samples of these wipes and the ingredients in it. And she created what's called the juice, the liquid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put it into this swab. It's like a Q-tip where you break one end and the liquid drops, and then it saturates the other end of the cotton tip.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's just enough to clean a few teeth or wipe down the gums and not stick your fingers in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. But what was funny is that I had made those. I was pregnant with my second child, and I opened up my second practice. So
you're insane.
Yeah,
that
so that was then that was too much. And finally, I was like, okay, this is too much. Like, I can't do this. It's too much. So what I had to do was I did a first run of the baby teeth cleaners for a good year. And I was selling at local stores, local boutiques, on Amazon. I had to learn how to get into not Target, but Walgreens and Whole Foods. But I learned that those bigger stores, they take so much money. It didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put a pause. And I felt like when I had my second child, nobody told me that having two children is exponentially harder. So I was like, okay, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I had to put up a white flag. I was like, okay, I can't do this all. So I put down the baby teeth cleaners and realized that in order for that to work, it can't be a hobby. And that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if I'm not going to be able to put 110% into it, I might as well not do it. And I was getting traction, and people were calling me and emailing me like, where are they? Like, I can't buy them anymore. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And I had moms reaching out to me from like California on Amazon. I'm like, I'm pregnant with my second child. I'm so sorry, but I can't do that. I had to stop this. Maybe I'll pick it up again. But so I kind of forfeited that. Because like time is money, and you have to value like where you're going to put your time. There's only 24 hours in a day. So
what happened? Did you just put it on hold? Is it still out there? Are you fine tuning it or what?
So all the my the corporation's still up, the LLC's still up. But the product's not out there.
Mm-hmm.
It started to be like taking off into production. Like I needed more production, like you need to buy more, but you can only buy in certain quantities. And I was like, okay, I can't handle this. Like, cause it was a total business. It was becoming a total business. And I'm like, I already have now a second dental office to run. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to run a product business.
Yeah, it's very hard. So you've got two offices now. Or you have more than two?
So I have two dental practices right now. And then in June of 2017, I started my own Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea what I was doing, Justin. No idea. I was like in several Facebook groups, including Mark's, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
No. I joined Mark's after, but I was in several, and I would get attacked on these Facebook groups. If I asked a question, people would be like attacking me and being sarcastic and rude. And I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this person talking to me condescendingly? And I'm like, I don't need this. Or if I had a question about, something related to mommies, I'm like, mom stuff. I'm like, I can't post it here. Like, what is your schedule like as a parent with a child in kindergarten? Like, how are you scheduling your patients? Like, you can't ask that to a man. He'd be like, I don't deal with that. Yeah.
So tell us about this Facebook group. What's it called and how was it for you?
It's called Mommy Dentists in Business. I was in one mommy dentist group on Facebook already, and it was called some Moms in Dentistry or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't very active. Like somebody would post maybe once a week or once a month. Like I was like, hello, is there anyone there?
Where are you?
Where is everybody? So then I was thinking, moms in dentistry is fine, but I need to talk to people like me. Like I need someone who's a mom, who's a dentist, who is a business owner or an entrepreneur or has a business spirit.
Sure.
Like you can't just be a mom and a dentist, that, you need to be an entrepreneur. So that's why I called it Mommy Dentist in Business. And as soon as I opened it up, I invited 50 of my friends to be in it. And so I was like, oh, it's great. It's just me and my friends. But then the first day, 100 people joined. The second day, 100 people joined. The third day, 100 people joined. And I didn't know, I didn't know how to run a Facebook group. I didn't know that when I opened it, it was public. So then after the third day, 300 people are in here. And one doctor says to me, did you know that this is a public group? Did you know patients can come in here and see what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had no idea. So then I had to research like how to run a Facebook group and like what the settings were. They're like, you need to close it or you need to make it secret.
Yeah.
And so if I made it secret, then nobody could find us. So finally, I figured it all out. But now we are at 5,400 people.
These are roughly 5,000 moms who are dentists.
Yeah, and majority of them are business owners, and they have to be practicing.
That's amazing. So how has that helped you? How has created this group helped you? Is it just the resources and the ability to connect with other moms who are dealing with the same kind of stuff in dentistry?
So what's helped me and everybody else is that it's motivated each other. We share our frustrations. We actually share best practices too.
Yeah, sure.
So it's awesome because then you all of a sudden you don't feel lonely because it's really sometimes very lonely because you're by yourself. A lot of these doctors are by themselves and you're dealing with like, oh my God, my office manager is stealing money from me. Oh my God, my dental assistant wants to pump for an hour at work. Is she clocked in or clocked out? Yeah. Oh my God. So all of a sudden we're like, hey, you're dealing with this too. I'm dealing with this too.
Yeah.
Or what are the proper interview questions I should be asking for a new associate? Or what, so all these questions arise and all of a sudden we're like, somebody's posting every minute of the day. I know that I can get an answer in one minute. Somebody will answer me.
Are you moderating the group or do you have someone else who's moderating it?
I'm doing most of it. I have an assistant that helps me vet. So now we're vetting people.
Yeah.
Because some people have actually lied about being moms. And what we've had to do is open up a sub Facebook group. Yeah. And now what we've been doing is we're trying to push the other doctors that might not be in private practice. So they're academics or community clinics or, consulting or whatever. So we have this other group called Dental Mama Tribe, or for women that are not yet pregnant or not yet moms that want to be.
Sure.
So we've created another group for them. And now we have a chapter in Canada and also in UK.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So what would your advice be to a dentist? Let's say she's a mom and she's growing her practice and she's not quite where she wants to be financially. Maybe it's, the profits aren't right or the cash isn't there, or she's having problems with her staff and she's doing too much. What would be your best financial advice tip for a mommy dentist?
It really depends because there's so many things at play. It really comes down to the numbers, in their financial situation. And then it also depends on, are they single or are they married? Are they divorced? Are they widowed? Do they have family money? Do they not? There's just so many pieces of the puzzle. But I would always, if it's a generic question, I would be well, obviously control your overhead.
Okay.
So know your numbers, what percent is towards rent of your building, or do you own your building? What percent is going to payroll? And all these questions you should be asking your accountant, working with your accountant. Are you putting away money? Are you paying yourself? Please pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I'm getting at is, clarity and understanding about what's going on with the numbers in the business and your own financial situation. It's not just women, it's men too. I think if you're not clear on what's going on, how can you really be smart in making any financial decision, whether it's for your business or personally?
Right. And so you tap on a point that I talk about a lot is that a majority of women, and so I didn't get to this yet, but I've been hosting a lot of events this year, and I just hosted my first CEO roundtable.
Cool.
And the parameter was you had to be producing, not netting, but at least producing $1 million in your practice. And so I made it intimate on purpose. So there was about 24, 25 doctors. And what I've noticed is that a lot of women, no matter how old, if they're married or have a partner, they tend to push the financial responsibility onto their spouse. And then they're left in the dark.
Yeah.
And they have no idea where their money is. They have no idea how to get their money. They have no concept. They just know it's there. And unfortunately, I had a good friend who at the age, this was about 7 years ago, she was widowed in 9 months and gave birth to twins 2 weeks after she buried her husband.
Oh my God.
And she had no idea where anything was. And we had to help her through it. You know what I mean? Like, it was devastating. And it opened my eyes. Yeah. Like, I don't ever want, God forbid that ever happened, but I need to know. I don't want to be in a situation when you're like trying to hack your husband's computer, trying to find codes, who to call, at least know who to call. Right.
Yeah. Amazing. So let's end with just philanthropy. I read that you like to do a lot of charity work and you've been involved in certain areas. Talk to us a little bit about what you're involved in and why you're doing it.
I went to a dental school that really taught to give back. So I am a terrapin, University of Maryland Dental School, or Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, they call it. And they taught us, one of the first things was you need to give back to your community, and it's paying it forward. And don't let your charity choose you. So that kind of mindset, and also my family, and the way I was brought up and what we did together as a family, I think that if you have the resources, it's always nice to be able to give back, and it comes back to you in spades. And so my husband and I are a part of the Children's Research Fund here in the city, and we raise money for pediatric cancer for research. Because pediatric cancers are oftentimes very rare, not a lot of pharma companies put money into it.
Yeah.
And so we believe in trying to support pediatric cancer research because children, I mean, I don't know if you have kids, but
3.
So, I mean, God, for knock on wood, they're all healthy. But if you were ever in a situation, you would want those resources. So I really think that that's, really important.
It's amazing. Have you started your own foundation, or are you just donating to these charities?
We're just donating to the charities, and more than just donating money, but really like getting involved, helping to put together galas and events, helping a lot of the steering committees. Like, I was a drop-off location, the children's cancer ward at the hospital, the teenagers who missed prom because they had to be in the hospital for cancer therapy. We collected prom dresses and suits and jewelry, and had it delivered to the hospital so that the kids could wear them and have their own prom at the hospital. Just things like that.
Amazing. Very powerful. Well, it has been great to have you on. Where can everyone go to learn more about you and what you're up to?
Well, we do have a website for the public. It's www.mommydids, so dibs, so mommydentisonbusiness.com. And you can also look me up on my practice website, which is yummydental.com. And you can find me on Facebook. My handle is GY Zimmerman. My married name is Zimmerman, so you can find me there. And feel free to reach out any which way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been great. Everybody, Dr. Grace Yum checking out, dropping the mic in the house. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.